Hi Capricorn, welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for October 2019. This month for you, there's a lot of activity in the 10th house, which is a favorite place of yours, shall we say, followed by that activity shifting into the 11th house, where things may get a little bit intense with friends as the month goes on. Julia, what are your thoughts about Mercury's activity for Capricorn this month?
For sure. Hey, Capricorn. So Mercury is going to be entering your 11th house of groups this month on the 3rd of October. So that might mean that you could feel more like communicating with your friends, and you might also be doing your best thinking with your buddies than just being on your own. So if there's sort of a problem that you need to work out or some advice you need to get, just invite over some friends and, talk about it in a group setting. That could really help you out. The 11th house is also connected to networks of all kinds, which also could include the internet if we look at it from a modern perspective.
Definitely.
So you also might be feeling like verbalizing or expressing yourself more on social media, for example, like writing lots of posts for your friends to see. And then Mars is going to be entering your 10th house of career on October 3rd. So wherever we have Mars is where we like to really apply our energy. So for this month, you might be really driven at work. And Mars can really, really work hard. It can be very ambitious in this placement, but it does like to act independently and sort of be its own boss too. So it might be kind of hard for you to be a team member at work this month. So try not to run into disputes with your coworkers, for example. And then Venus is going to be moving into that 11th house, which I was talking about earlier, on October 8th this month. And when Venus enters your house of friends, you might get more pleasure from sort of socializing with big groups of people. So if you're partnered, bring your boo out with your buddies or invite friends over to entertain. The 11th house is also, like I mentioned earlier, connected to networks of all kinds, including the internet. So if you're single, you also might meet more people to date online than in other venues right now. And since the 11th house is also the second house, so the next house over from the 10th house, it can also involve money which comes from career. And Venus is a little bit of a lucky planet too. So there may be ways to increase your working capital this month as well. What else do you see, Jamie?
Well, there is a full moon in Aries coming on the 13th of October, and this one falls in the fourth house of home for you, Capricorn. So there's a really cozy feeling, but I have to say also a little bit of spark, bit of incendiary feeling too, because that moon is in Aries. So I think you might want to be king or queen of your own castle during that full moon and get cozy with the people and conditions of your choice. The sun is passing along through the 10th house at the time as it moves along through Libra, and that brings the spotlight to career. So there's a real balancing act going on here between cozying up at home, having it your own way, and being out in your career where a few concessions may have to be made. And then moving along through the month on the 20th is when Mercury starts to slow down. And we call this the shadow period of Mercury retrograde, meaning that for about a week before Mercury turns retrograde, when Mercury is slowing down, there starts to be this feeling of things getting tangled up, things getting snarled up. The forward movement is not as clear as it usually is. So, and that Mercury retrograde period, which begins on the 31st, is going to be happening in your 11th house, which over the course of the month is really gathering a lot of planets into it. And Julia said that you might want to go out and hang with large groups of people. And while that's true, the 11th house does have to do with large groups of people. It's really just friends, full stop. And sometimes you prefer small groups of friends, and that's really maybe a little more optimal for you in terms of the ability to really relate deeply with people in a social setting. So I think later this month, maybe go to a dinner party or a little family gathering of your favorite relatives, just your favorite relatives. And keep it small in that way, and that could be really sweet. So then on the the 27th, there is a new moon right here in Scorpio in your 11th house. And new moons signify beginnings. They have to do with planting seeds for the future. You don't usually see results right away, but you can plant seeds and you can water them, and they can wax while the moon is waxing, moving away from the sun, for about the 2 weeks after a new moon. So this is a really good time to plant the seeds of intimate friendship, and spend some time with the friends that you really care about, that you really trust, that you can really go deep with, and grow those friendships for the future, because you never know when you're going to need them. So that's all we have for you, Capricorn. I hope you enjoyed it. You can always check out our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, on YouTube for the news of the month, usually gathered together in a playlist. And horoscopes can be found at pandoraastrology.com/horoscope, updated every month. And we are looking forward to seeing you next month, talk more about that Mercury retrograde. And until then, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.